Welcome back to One Eye News, America's Eye, laser focus on the truth. I'm Johnny D, keeping my eye on the truth for America. This episode may run longer than our normal 1 hour episode as we have a lot to unpack here today, and we're going to issue some challenges to some of the people that have absolutely zero character, and to one individual in particular that we will focus on here shortly. But first, we want to send our well wishes and prayers to the people of Texas and Florida and all the vicinities affected by the hurricanes, and to the citizens who are now facing many difficult challenges. And we want to recognize that the American citizens have come together to assist each other in their time of need. Black, white, brown, red, and all creeds. They have all worked together in unison to rise above the current disaster and the hateful political rhetoric that have been dividing our peoples. One Eye News will again point out some of the anti-American actions that are currently underway, and now using these hurricanes to promote their agenda and to continue to divide our nation. Like, for instance, Linda Sarsour, who is Obama's top agent of change, who is now using this disaster to raise funds for her and Obama's anti-American citizens movement. Linda Sarsour is collecting funds to assist the movement and claiming that these funds will go to the Muslims and will exclude any whites or any real Americans at all. Just as Black Lives Matter are also using this disaster to raise funds, and I quote, to assist the black communities that have been affected, which again seems somewhat racist to me. I mean, come on, why not just concentrate on helping all the people that were affected, folks? Why? Well, the reason why is because they are the real racists here. And this again clearly shows their agenda and the division that they promote. We will continue to detail these actions that are racist, but now we need to make a few corrections. So I will first correct my first error regarding my verbalizations in episode 2, when I made an error and I detailed the book written by a former Department of Homeland Security agent, authored by Phil Haney, when I misspoke and I noted that his book was titled See Something, Say Something, when the actual title is See Something, Say Nothing, which is a direct indictment of Obama's policies and orders to the Department of Homeland Security, which was the policy of Obama and his administration, and ordered by Obama, was to say nothing in regards to radical Islamic terrorism, and also to ignore any left-wing domestic terrorism and terrorist groups like the Antifa. Because as we have pointed out, that Obama is and has always been a radical Islamic terrorist sympathizer and a radical domestic terrorist, as proven by his anti-American associations with people like William Ayers, who is Obama's hero, and who has been helping Obama to infiltrate America's institutions with their radical anti-American operatives ever since the 1980s, and who is an admitted domestic terrorist and a founder of the terrorist group, the Weather Underground, as we have noted over and over again. And Mr. Ayers is guilty of bombing the Pentagon, the U.S. Capitol building, police stations in San Francisco, and a New York City police station where police were killed by William Ayers and his anti-American operatives, which includes Obama. Just because Obama was not caught and or may not have participated in those bombings does not mean that he was not a participant in the Weather Underground and William Ayers' agenda to destroy America, and in these anti-American hateful killings of police and bombings of our government institutions. Okay? Mr. Ayers was conveniently let go and given a free pass by the liberal court system. And he has been and was allowed to become a professor in Chicago at the University of Chicago in order to continue to push the Weather Underground's anti-American agenda and backed by President Obama. And this is, again, clear and concise proof that Obama and Mr. Ayers have been implementing their anti-American agenda ever since. And it shows that Chicago is once again the model for the entire country under Obama and Bill Ayers and Rahm Emanuel. And again, Rahm Emanuel is the one that famously stated, "Never let a crisis pass without capitalizing on it." Again, folks, Bill Ayers is one of Obama's best friends, his mentor, and his hero. And that is a fact that cannot be denied, and that is disgusting, as is Mr. Ayers and Mr. Obama. This is important, my friends, and speaks directly to what is currently transpiring in America. Mr. Obama has been running around the world speaking out against our president, as previously pointed out. This is really unprecedented in America, as former presidents do not engage in this type of divisive rhetoric against their successors. And it has never really occurred until now. Former presidents do not come out and attempt to discredit and attack a sitting president. Rather, they do take a step back and allow the opportunity for the new commander-in-chief to govern and lead, which Obama seems to be opposed to. And what Obama seems to be involved in is anti-American, and is an anti-American engagement that challenges his successor. And he is attempting to create more division in order to depose and or overthrow our sitting president of the United States of America. And this is anti-American sabotage, folks, as our new president is attempting to help America and all of the American citizens, including the black and brown communities, contrary to popular belief. You see, folks, it is very simple to see when the veil is removed. If you will just take a minute to look at these facts and do some simple math again, 2 plus 2 and all that, my friends, which brings me to my next error, which was when I pointed out the anti-American terrorist who is Oscar Rivera Lopez, who I addressed as Jose Lopez, which was another error in my verbalizations. So my apologies to anyone named Jose Lopez. And Oscar Rivera Lopez, who was guilty of over 100 bombings in America that targeted American citizens and that were responsible for killing American citizens. And Mr. Lopez is a hero to Obama and the Weather Underground and their offspring, who are Black Lives Matter and the Antifa. Again, folks, this is an anti-American person who is guilty of killing American citizens, which again shows who Obama really is, as Mr. Lopez is a hero to Obama for his anti-American actions against America and the American government as well, and for killing white American citizens. And this speaks directly to the Weather Underground's agenda in the 1970s and also the 1980s, in which Obama was radicalized along with his America-hating wife. And that is when the Weather Underground began to change their tactics, as we pointed out earlier, and they began to change their tactics in order to implement Mr. Obama into the American political system, with the goal of becoming the first domestic terrorist anti-American president of the United States of America. You see, my friends, Obama's agenda was to make America hate again. And it is working on many levels, as you can plainly see if you just look. The oath of any American leader is to protect America from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that is a fact, my friends. Obama is a domestic terrorist and an enemy of the state, and always has been. So let's open our damn eyes to what is right in front of our faces. And that is that Obama is one of America's greatest enemies from within, and has been successful in blinding the nation and aided by the corrupt mainstream media. Next, we also need to address another anti-American who we have all seen, and that is the disgrace and the embarrassment to America and to the Italian people, Bill de Blasio. And again, another William. Okay, folks, what's with all the Bills that are a disgrace to America? Like Bill Clinton. Anyway, Bill de Blasio is a disgrace and is one of the anti-Americans who was proud to march alongside that terrorist loser, Oscar Rivera Lopez. And then Mr. de Blasio again departed America and New York City in our time of need for real leadership in order to participate in an anti-American protest against his own president. Which is again a very telling action on the part of this so-called leader of New York City. Come on, folks. Let's vote to remove this disgrace from public office and get him out. Okay, next. Let's again revisit the pardon of Joe Arpaio, who was labeled a racist and branded a racist by the illegal anti-American Obama administration that implemented illegal laws in order to allow any and all illegal aliens and criminals to forego any legal actions for their crimes against the American people. Let's point out the 642,000 crimes that were perpetrated against American citizens in Arizona by these anti-American citizens and illegal aliens that were just only in Arizona. Okay, come on now. These were just the crimes documented just in Arizona alone in a very short period of time. And again, these are just the crimes that were noted and known. What about all the crimes that were not noted, folks? And the reason that Joe Arpaio was targeted by Obama was because he was shedding light on the Obama agenda and throwing a monkey wrench into the Obama agenda. That was to allow any and all to enter our lands to destroy the America that we all know and love. Again, we will point out that all the cheerleaders on the left that praise these criminals and attempt to justify their actions against Americans are living in la-la land, okay? And as a person who sees and has seen many criminals get a free pass when committing terrible crimes against our citizens, I believe it is time to recognize reality and tell it like it is. I've seen many on the left claim that the illegal immigrants commit less crimes than American citizens, and therefore they should not be pursued since they are good people. What? Okay, folks, it is simple math again. First of all, 642,000 crimes against American citizens just in Arizona tells you everything that you need to know. And Joe Arpaio spotlighted these criminals and aggressively pursued legal actions to clean up his state and America. And for that, he was singled out and attacked by Obama's illegal government operatives, who are all anti-American citizens. The truth is, folks, that many other crimes are not included in these statistics, as no one was ever caught and or convicted. So there are many more crimes that just go unsolved and or just ignored by the left. And to use math again, there are approximately 11 million illegal aliens in America. And I would say that number is higher than 11 million, as once again, these are just the ones that we are aware of. And there are many more who are not and have never been included in these statistics, as they are living in the shadows and are guilty of rapings and killings of American citizens. And many of them are committing these heinous crimes, such as murder, rape, assaults, thefts, and many other violent crimes as well. And these are just the facts, my friends. Like it or not, and we have all been sold a bill of goods that keep Americans in the dark and disguise the truth within their lives. So, when President Trump stated that some illegal Mexicans are rapists and Muslims are terrorists, which is a fact, we all know that, Muslims are terrorists, okay, then he was right. And as we noted that MS-13's motto is rape, control, kill. And I know folks, MS-13 is not predominantly Mexican, but they are Hispanic. So again, do the math. But I am using MS-13 to point out the obvious, and the fact is that many illegal Mexicans are also guilty of these crimes. Compare that to the other 310 million legal citizens, and it does show that these people are responsible for a major crime wave against American citizens. And this should be recognized and confronted, just as Joe Arpaio did. And that is a fact, folks. All of these citizens that have bought into Obama's agenda and go along with the suggestion that America is evil and racist are convinced that America and all whites in America owe the world a debt of some kind because of our past actions against whomever. These people hate America and whites, so they should all leave America and go somewhere where they can be happy, as we previously pointed out. It's simple, folks. If you hate America, then get the hell out. Okay? Just move on. Okay? And now they are claiming to be victims of past American policies and are now the victims of President Trump and any of his supporters. This is all due to Obama's policies and his anti-American rhetoric. And that they are somehow the victims that are owed retributions and reparations and whatever you want to call it. And therefore, they should all be allowed to hate America and should receive a free pass for their hateful actions against America and the American citizens. Now let's be honest here and tell it like it is. America is responsible for giving these hateful legal citizens and illegal citizens, well, illegal immigrants, all that they have. And they should have gratitude and be happy to have the opportunities that America affords all people that try to better their lives and their positions within our country and our society. The fact is, folks, when you give and give and give, then they will take and take and take. And then they will eventually become resentful if they are not afforded every freebie that they feel is owed to them, and or every whim that they demand. This is common when you try to display a charitable effort, and eventually these recipients of these charitable efforts come to be resentful and will then become the opposition of that said person and or organization that offered their help in the first place. This is a fact, folks, and it repeats itself again and again. I will briefly note just one of these incidents by citing John Huntsman, who was a philanthropist that offered charitable contributions to our society. When certain citizens learned of his charitable nature, he was then targeted for ransom payments, as these ungrateful, disgusting people kidnapped his son and demanded cash for his safe return. And there are many, many more unnoticed, unreported events of similar actions. And that is a fact, my friends. Okay, let's briefly discuss the DACA program that was and is an unconstitutional policy as admitted by Obama himself on many, many occasions, in which he himself proclaimed that he could not just willy-nilly order this policy into action as it would be an unconstitutional act. And then Obama proceeded to usurp any laws in order to implement this unconstitutional policy anyway. A policy that contradicts all laws and our Constitution, which is another verification of Mr. Obama's anti-American actions and lack of respect for our American institutions and our laws. Okay, folks? Which is again aligning him with Hitler and the Nazis, as we have pointed out again and again. And we will continue to do so, as the left and all of their chief propagandists continue to do on a daily basis, and to attack our president with no facts at all, unlike the facts that we have displayed in our debut episode that shows Obama's Nazi-like movement and policies. President Trump is simply restoring the constitutional process and legal standing of the Constitution. So again, the constitutional authority was ignored by Obama, and that is a fact, as proven by Obama's own words, folks. And you cannot deny that, as we have several instances where Obama is on tape stating just that. So, DACA was an illegal action taken by an anti-American president, and that is a fact. Next, we will again discuss the fact that the FBI is working against America, the American people, and the American president in order to discredit the president. We predicted that the entire Russia story was a total fabrication spearheaded by Obama, the FBI, and the corrupt Obama State Department. And there is proof that this was all a lie, folks. And I believe that proof will be revealed soon, as Dana Rohrabacher has met with Julian Assange, who has again confirmed that WikiLeaks has that proof. The proof that will shatter this lie into 1,000 pieces. A lie that has been sold to America by Obama, Comey, Mueller, and the media, and all the other anti-American actors within our government. The fake Russia story is the top propaganda tool used by the left to destroy President Trump. So the fact is, folks, that James Comey and the FBI and the Democratic Party paid and used taxpayers' cash to obtain the fake Russia dossier on Donald Trump in order to introduce a fake Oppo research on a presidential candidate during an election cycle, which is again anti-American. And this is again sabotage of our institutions and the proof that shows that the FBI is corrupt and has been a tool for Obama to discredit our president, and that is not American. This is like Russia and or the Nazis or something, right, folks? Come on. Before we present more correlations to the Nazis, we will quickly address one of the chief propagandists for the left, who is Bill Maher, and who is still blind and incompetent. Again, another Bill. What's going on here? Bill Maher is the mentally challenged redheaded stepchild and apparently Ralph Mouth's mentally challenged stepbrother. And if you don't know who Ralph Mouth is, just watch an episode of Happy Days, folks, and you will know. You will know exactly what I'm saying. Ralph Mouth was a loudmouth character that said stupid things in every episode, just like Bill Maher. And again, this is another Bill. What the hell is wrong with these Bills? Okay? Are they all part of the anti-American Billy Boy Club? Question mark. First, Bill Maher has a big mouth that spews out hateful rhetoric and godless, soulless opinions that are just, well, stupid, idiotic, and or naive. just like Ralph Mouth. As I previously mentioned, that Bill Maher is one of the most naive people in America. And Bill Maher is one of the top cheerleaders and propagandists for the anti-American citizens movement. Again, I do not hate Bill, but I feel he has zero insight when it comes to the truth and or any reality at all. Maybe it's because he disbelieves in God. I don't know. Anyway, in the last two most recent episodes, Maher is still pushing the fake Russia story, and he seems unwilling to accept any reality and or any truth at all. And this is because he is a mindless idiot that has no concept of reality, and it really shows. Because he continues to push the fake Russia story onto America, and now even after we all know that Comey and the rest of these scumbags have fabricated the entire story from start to finish. Okay, folks? And that is a fact, Mr. Maher. And I would again at this time issue a challenge to you, Mr. Maher, to debate me on my viewpoints and your imaginary viewpoints. And I will crush you. Period. Hey, Bill. I still have not heard you even mention the Antifa. Why, Bill? Why? You know why, Bill. And that is because you are part of the Antifa, as far as I am concerned, and you have zero credibility. So, we will give Mr. Maher a dose of reality here and now. Hey, Bill, you seem to be a simple-minded idiot that can't even see past your own nose. You continue to push the fake Russia story with zero evidence as the so-called intelligence agencies made this all up. And you know it too, Bill. But you are just a tool for Obama. And you are still on your knees in front of Obama. I don't know, maybe you're praying or something. Well, I'll leave that to interpretation for the audience. Okay? So, let the audience have their own interpretation of why you're on your knees in front of Obama. Maybe you're praying or something else. I don't know. But I am going to get down onto your level, Bill, because that is the only language that you understand. And I hear you make these kinds of statements about our president and others as well. First off, I want to start by pointing out that your comedic skills are seriously lacking, and you know it. A good comedian does not tell a joke and then give himself laughter and applause. That is reserved for the viewing audience. And just to point out the obvious, and that is that your audience are just trained seals that clap for fish. Okay? And good funny comedians don't constantly laugh at their own stupid jokes. Period. And you know it. And you know it's true, Bill. So let's tell it like it is. The only reason you even have the platform that you do is clearly because you serve the Democratic Party and you are a tool for the Democratic Party. And they have emboldened you to constantly feed the idiots who believe you and to attack all conservatives with your lies and deceit. And also now to insult our president and his supporters that are far better and much more honest American citizens than you are, Bill. Okay? You constantly refer to your president as a whiny little bitch. Okay, I'm going to use your words, Bill. That's your words. And you, my friend, are the whiniest little bitch on TV. So there, boy, right back at you. I'm tired of being nice about all this. And I will tell you about yourself now, since you continue to tell us about how stupid we are, okay? Like in a recent episode when you were picking on and bullying an 11-year-old boy, Frank Giacchio, who wrote a letter to President Trump and offered to mow the lawn at the White House. And in this episode, you were making fun of a young Italian boy, and you put his letter up on the screen and bullied this kid when you were making fun of his grammar and the fact that he may have misspelled words, and because his handwriting was not perfect, and may have, he may have contained some errors within his writing. So you disparage Frank Giacchio, who is a child. Okay, Bill? That's not cool. And again, I saw you and another pathetic guest, who is Adam Gopnik, and who is also apparently an idiot, okay? That apparently considers himself to be an intellectual academic that seems to think he is smart and smarter than the rest of us. Because, well, he uses a lot of $10 words, and he tries to convince people that he's smart by using these types of words. And he seems to believe that he is above the rest of us, just as you do, Mr. Marr. Or should I say, Mrs. Marr. And you and this idiot were attacking this and teaming up on this woman that challenged you in your rhetoric, who was S.E. Cupp. And again, I'm not trying to make this a personal attack. However, when I see you using the N-word and then attacking women and children, well, then I'm going to point out the obvious. And that is that, Bill, you have no balls. You are a pathetic excuse for a man, and you are giving all real men a bad rap. And you are not a real man. Rather, you are a whiny little bitch, okay? Just like you say President Trump is. And having said that, I think it is time for you to be honest with yourself and America, and to complete your transformation and your transition into a woman. Just like one of your treasonous heroes and a traitor to America, just as you are, Bill. I mean, Williamette. Let me call you Williamette, because I don't think you're a man. And that hero to you guys is Chelsea Manning, who was a pathetic excuse as a man, and even a worse pathetic excuse for a so-called woman. So, Mrs. Williamette Marr, please conclude with your transitioning and become the whiny little bitch that you are, okay? But before you complete your transition to become a whiny little bitch that you are, I would at this time issue a challenge to you to face me in a charity boxing and or MMA event in Las Vegas. That's correct. I'm challenging you to a charity boxing or MMA event, if you are a man, okay? I do have many contacts in Las Vegas, as do you, okay? My contacts are promoters, and they would be happy to set this charity event up. And I am associated with individuals that run fight event centers, and so we can meet there for a 3-round contest inside the ring. And all proceeds could go to kids that are dyslexic and or may have learning disabilities. And how do you know this kid does not fall into that category, Madam Marr? And maybe he does have dyslexia or some other kind of learning disability. Huh, Bill? Excuse me. Huh, Madam Marr? Please tell me, and America, please tell us, why do you pick on helpless little children who are not even able to defend themselves against your hateful speech and bullying against little kids? Okay? I mean, that's really disgusting, Mrs. Marr. You owe Mr. Frank Giacchio an apology, and maybe he should file a lawsuit against you for your bullying and your mocking of this kid. How do you know if this kid has disabilities, Madam Marr? The fact is that you don't know. And this again shows your lack of character, and that you are just another big-mouth troll that attacks women and children. Okay? And that is not a man. That is a pathetic excuse for a man. And a person that uses the N-word, and yet no one says a word about it. And no one challenges you for your ridiculous, mentally challenged bullying and positions. Well, that all ends now. And I am going to keep calling you out, Mrs. Marr, until you either accept the challenge to debate me and or to meet me in Las Vegas for a 3-round contest. Okay? Let's get it on, Billy boy. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's get it on, little girl. And I would predict that you will not make it out of the first round because I will break your nose and I will shut your mouth with a first round KO. And I would even predict in the very first minute of round 1, you will be put to sleep by my hand. Again, I do not advocate for violence. I am challenging you to a contest that will be refereed by a professional referee inside the squared circle or the octagon. Your choice, Bill. And I would also predict that you will never accept this or any challenge that comes from me and or from any real man, for that matter. Because you are not a man, but, as we pointed out, you are a whiny little bitch. Okay, Bill? Okay, Mrs. Marr? And it clearly shows that you have a teeny tiny little brain that is willing to attack anyone that may have any reverence for our president. And that, Mrs. Marr, tells me all I need to know about you and your pathetic existence. Next, Mrs. Marr, you and Adam Gottnick have apparently appointed yourselves as world-class scientists now. Okay. And have decided that all the science is settled regarding global warming. Okay? First of all, you are both extremely misinformed. So I will direct you to a real meteorologist that has spent decades studying and predicting these storms and how these storms even come to be. And they are not the most powerful storms in America's history as you're, espousing. There have been more powerful and more destructive storms that have hit the USA for centuries. And that is a fact, Madam Marr. So go study history and you will see the truth. Go and investigate Joe Bastardi from weatherbell.com, whom I have been following for several years, and he backs up exactly what One Eye News detailed in our earlier episode when we told America that the history of the earth has cycles that reoccur over time, which is exactly what we're experiencing now. Okay? And we have also said that, yes, maybe man has some effects on our greenhouse gases. I think we can all agree on that. However, not what you and your con men like Al Gore are suggesting. And you're trying to scare the world into your fantasies that are simply just that. Fantasies and lies. So let's be clear. Yes, there is global warming and there always has been. Just study history before you run off at the mouth and scare the world in order to collect more revenue. Like the charlatan Al Gore has been doing for a decade now. And he has made hundreds of millions of dollars. And that is what global warming is all about, folks. Period. Making money. And I will debate you anytime, Mrs. Marr, and I will bring documented evidence and facts that you and the rest of your hysterical idiots just simply ignore. Next, you said you indicated that after the show, you were heading straight to Las Vegas immediately after the live show on HBO, and you are going to be there very, very quickly. Well, how are you going to get there, Mrs. Marr? Let me offer my opinion and tell America what the truth is. Let's start again with that charlatan Al Gore and you, Mrs. Marr. And maybe we'll throw in Leonardo DiCaprio into the mix as well. You are getting to Vegas so fast because you are going to jump on a private airplane, and according to you, to expedite the destruction of our environment by using tons of jet fuel for your trips, okay? So you cannot sit there and preach about this and that and then jump on these private planes, okay? And if you really believed your own rhetoric, then you would not be flying private jets around the globe, just like Al Gore and Leo DiCaprio. And you and them are all hypocrites, because the average citizen will never have a carbon footprint like you three and or the rest of the hysterical idiots that point their immoral fingers and assign blame to the Americans. Okay? And to our president for pulling out of the Paris Accord, which is a worthless deal and a joke. Okay? That deal simply gives our cash to the rest of the world, you moron. All right? And all the regular folks that could never use that much fuel and pollute the air like all of you hypocrites. So, get off your private jets. And I would suggest for you to all get on a mule, okay? And cross the lands old school style, Mrs. Marr. I challenge you to put your money where your mouth is. In addition, you and this idiot savant, Adam Gopnik, who also have determined that the science on evolution is settled, which is clearly not the case, okay? As we previously pointed out in our introduction video, that there is lots of scientific evidence to challenge your godless and soulless opinion. And that is a fact, Madam Marr. The evidence clearly shows that man and all of our evolutionary cousins were in existence at the same time on Earth, as we have previously pointed out that this information has been unearthed in the past 20 years, and it shatters the theory of evolution. And the scientific evidence clearly shows that the evolution of man was over millions of years, where man's brain had evolved to become larger, and thus making us the top of the food chain. And that is a fact. We are not from a monkey. We did not come from monkey to man. But, Mrs. Marr, you are a talking monkey. So, stop acting like you're some kind of academic achiever that knows all. Because as previously pointed out, that you are just a mentally challenged monkey that spews hateful rhetoric and propaganda in order to advance your anti-American movement and to fill your bank account, Madam Marr. Okay? So, let's tell it like it is. Okay, let's get back to the business of real men. I will again point out that I am associated, and I do know and or I am acquainted with many real men unlike you that are and were great champions from the physical combat world. Like, for instance, Leon Spinks, who defeated Muhammad Ali. And Tommy the Duke Morrison, rest in peace, who was a relative of Marion Morrison. Yes, John Wayne, another real man. And they are all real men, unlike you, Madam Marr. Okay? And many, many more as well, I might add. As I have previously, I've been involved with sports in one form or another, and also professional sports throughout my entire life. And I'm going to use your own words right now to point out just how idiotic you sound, Mrs. Marr. Normally I would not get down into the mud with a pig like you, but I am tired of hearing your uninformed, unintelligent opinions that are really just based on fantasies and lies, and seem to go unchallenged at every turn. So, here we go. On your episode that aired on August 25th, 2017, first, you said, and I quote, "This is Rwanda and Nazi Germany. When you make it so people don't feel any compassion for another group of people, you open the door for absolutely the worst demons." Okay, Bill? Okay, Mrs. Marr? Those were your exact words, which is very, very telling, Mrs. Marr, because that is exactly what you and your feeble mind and your tiny brain can't see. And the fact is that the group of people that have zero compassion and or tolerance is you and your entire group on the left, who has zero compassion and or tolerance for any person that supports your president, President Trump. Okay? Yes, that's right. Your president, Mrs. Marr. You have all engaged in this hateful campaign to demonize President Trump and his supporters, which are at least 63 million American citizens who seem to be far more open-minded and far more intelligent than you, Mrs. Marr. And they are willing to look and see another side, unlike you, Mrs. Marr. And these are the people that you are currently persecuting, and you and your mindless party of uber-liberal anti-American associates and your audience that have been misled by an autocrat former president, okay, who is a domestic terrorist and a racist, as proven by his own actions and his own words over and over again. Just like you, Mrs. Marr. Or let me call you Williamette. Maybe that's better. Williamette? Is that the female for William? I don't know. Anyways, just like you, Williamette, when you use the N-word. I am currently adjusting my position on you, and I do now think you are a racist and a self-loathing white person who demonizes all who dare to oppose you and your feeble little mind. I hear you continually make statements disparaging whites, as if you are not white. Okay? Why, Mrs. Marr? Why? Come on, you're Irish. You must be smarter than that. Look, I know you're related to Bill O'Reilly. Oh, hey, that's a good Bill. There's got to be a good Bill here and there. Anyways, come on, Mrs. Marr. You're white. Pinch yourself. You're not dreaming, okay? You seem to be racist against whites that don't take your point of view. And you are a sad excuse for a man, as we previously pointed out. The only reason that you have this platform is because you do serve a master, and your God is Obama, period. So, I will give you actual, factual information that maybe you can look at if you ever allow yourself to be an objective observer of reality. All right? Because you are the real Nazi here, Mrs. Marr, and not President Trump and or his supporters. So let's get it on. And we will start by pointing out, again, the sabotaging of our president and the American way of life. And this is not American. Rather, it is that of Nazism. And it mirrors the Nazi movement in the 1920s and the 1930s. Okay? Now, Obama was determined to change America and the world, just like Hitler was determined to do, and to change the way Americans think and feel by creating a new American form of culture, by employing the media and Hollywood and incorporating a new form of culture within film and music that is consistent with anti-American theology, as proven by Hollywood with many shows and movies, and spotlighted in the brand new episode of American Horror Story that demonizes President Trump and his supporters. And this is currently invading pop culture with hateful anti-American rhetoric and propaganda. Every citizen must conform to this new ideology offered by Obama's vision in order to be considered a good American, just like the German people were faced with by Hitler, and accepted as the new normal, and any who may resist are immediately labeled a Nazi and or a racist, okay? As we are seeing every day, day in and day out. Just like Hitler and the Nazis did in the late 1920s. And the correlations are disturbing. As, Hitler burned books and he delegitimized an entire people and their beliefs. just as we see with the Obama agenda that has removed books and literature from our academic institutions. And Obama has replaced the true history with his own version of revisionist propaganda history. Okay? Just like Hitler did, folks. All in order to delegitimize our founding fathers, our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and or any and all American laws, and our new American president, just as Hitler did in the 1930s, folks. Okay? Obama exploited our culture through media, film, and music, academia, and so on, to spread his propaganda in order to attain power and to prepare America for a hateful propaganda civil war that is meant to divide our nation along the lines of race, as we are currently witnessing, just like Hitler did, folks. And this is done with subtle mind manipulation of an entire generation of Americans that you are now witnessing as the Antifa and Black Lives Matter and in the media and in Hollywood, which does uniquely change minds with subtle mind manipulation of an entire culture. They have created an artistic dictatorship with zero room for dissent. And if you are in opposition to the new movement, then you are immediately labeled a racist and or a Nazi. Even by, the whites in America that have been brainwashed to believe that America is evil and bad, and that we Americans owe the world a debt for our misdeeds and or our mistakes. Okay? Now this is done by controlling the media, just like the Nazis. By controlling the media, Obama has converted the American citizens into willing participants in this anti-American regime, just as Hitler did to the German people. Obama has convinced these mindless followers that they are all participating in the highest aspirations of mankind to end a time of racism in America. Thus, these unwitting idiots will do anything to appease their God, who is Obama. And they will believe anything they are told by this dictator autocrat, anti-American. And to any who oppose and or threaten that group, then they are, therefore, if they oppose this ideology, like I am doing now, then they are threatening the highest of virtue, okay? And that apparently gives them the right to attack citizens with violence and killing, just like with Hitler and the Nazis in the 1930s, folks. Obama has been affected by the Weather Underground to believe that he and all people of color in America have been marginalized by all whites in America, and that they deserve to be repaid and or to get retribution against America and Americans. Again, I will note that One Eye News exposed the Democratic Party as the ones that have marginalized to black American communities, when in 1960, Cloward and Piven and the rest of the douchebags at Columbia University implemented an anti-American policy in order to marginalize the black communities, and thus leading to 70% of black youth being fatherless. And that is a fact. And this policy continues to thrive today under the Democratic rule and Obama's henchmen. And we also pointed out that Margaret Sanger was a white supremacist that created Planned Parenthood in order to kill black babies. And those are the facts, folks. And the black and brown and even whites who are ignorant to the truth will attack any who oppose them, as we saw today and yesterday and every day, okay? And that they must fight the government in order to destroy the system that has worked for the past 232 years before the rise of the anti-American Obama. and a system that has checks and balances, and that is the most fair and the most successful system in the history of the world. Although some may dispute this, and maybe there may have been a few others that were nearly comparable, but not quite the same. Now, having said that, there are and have been many mistakes made over time in America, and that were corrected and continue to be corrected as our democracy evolves and grows. Just as we did recognize the inequality during the civil rights movement, that was successful because it was led by peaceful people of character like Dr. Martin Luther King, who would never accept the violence that we are seeing today with these anti-American groups like Black Lives Matter and the Antifa. As Dr. King was all about a peaceful movement, not a violent movement. And that is, this violent movement is now being pushed by a radical anti-American citizens movement and being led by a domestic terrorist and former President Barack Obama. You see, folks, America under Obama was presented with a choice to become a participant in this new revolution to change America from within, and or to be labeled a racist or a Nazi if you challenge that. Okay? Obama has created a national identity crisis that feeds his mindless followers and thus creating an instability that has been exploited by the leftists and created by the growing cultural conflict. Okay? So on one side, there are the conservatives who are attempting to save America and our culture and our American history and its values. And I am not talking about those idiot neo-Nazis that were trying to save a statue, okay? And so on the opposition are the Obama Kool-Aid drinkers who have become intoxicated by the new idea that America is evil and bad and racist. Okay, folks? It's too much. Okay, thus embracing the new policies of change that Obama has promised to the masses and that are anti-American policies that we have previously pointed out and that do contradict Dr. Martin Luther King's vision. And that is a fact, folks, and is proven by the fact that Dr. King's niece, who does support President Trump, and she rejects these violent anti-American citizens and the entire Obama anti-American concept, is to reject history and the American way of life. Okay? The entire Obama anti-American concept, I will repeat, is to reject history and the American way of life and to bury the truth. That's it, folks. The new movement is to challenge the traditional American belief systems and creating new attitudes that oppose American ideals. Obama and his operatives like Black Lives Matter and the Antifa exploit the new conflict, thus creating fears of racism and thus attaching any negative stereotypes to our new president in order to discredit our new president. They present themselves as champions of change, as we previously pointed out, just like Obama and his self-describing campaign for change, and his new leader that has been praised by Obama as the new champion of change. And those were Obama's exact words, describing a radical Islamic terrorist, Linda Sarsour, who is Obama's new champion for change in America. And she pushes jihad against President Trump and the White House and all of his supporters, which are at least 63 million or more American citizens that are not terrorists, like Linda Sarsour and Obama. Okay, folks? These are a mirror of the Nazi tactics that we have been pointing out in our debut episode, and that we will continue to point out as America has been taken over by Obama's anti-American movement of change. Just like with Hitler, folks. They use the media and Hollywood to spread their propaganda. This new culture is important to Obama's change movement because the Obama agenda claims to be a worldview for all, and that it encompasses everything in film, music, art, and the media, and that are consistent with the new Obama anti-American ideology. Just like the Nazis did as well, my friends. Obama views of culture are a direct result of his Saul Alinsky Weather Underground ideology. Just like the Nazis blame the Jews for everything wrong in their society, Obama and his anti-American operatives, the media, Hollywood, and the bureaucratic deep state do the same against all conservatives and all whites and all Americans that refuse to submit. And they spread conspiracy theories blaming traditional Americans for being a racist culture that, is responsible for everything negative in America. Okay, folks? I mean, I am simply pulling this information directly from history, and I am making the correlations. Okay? Now I'm about to point out that this correlation is the exact same, just like the Nazis did with the Jews in 1929, when the movement organized and took to the streets to attack any who opposed this ideology, just like we are seeing in America today. Okay? This was incorporated by a Nazi person then, and now is being incorporated by Obama and Linda Sarsour, Black Lives Matter, and the Antifa, and many, many more. Okay? In 1929, Alfred Rosenberg created a group like the Antifa and Black Lives Matter to incorporate hate for the Jews and to infiltrate film, music, and art, and it was consistent with the Nazi ideology. Just like we see today with Obama and Linda Sarsour and the Antifa and Black Lives Matter. This Nazi group would go around and attack any opposition to modern works and demand that any exhibitions that oppose their ideology to be closed within the art and culture, which resonated with Hitler and the Nazi ideology. And just like now in America, where the organized opposition to the American traditions and values have begun attacking free speech and shutting down events and speakers. Okay? So again, these correlations are very concerning, folks. Okay? And confronting the American citizens that oppose them. Just like we see every day on our TV, just like we saw in St. Louis yesterday, just like we're seeing today in St. Louis again. And attacking their anti-American enemies by using Black Lives Matter and the Antifa to silence and discredit their opposition, just like the Nazis did in 1929. And that is a fact that cannot be denied. Just as jazz music was hated by the Nazis because it was regarded as black. And the abstract art was hated because, it was regarded as Jewish. Okay? Now, in America, anything that can be regarded as white and or in opposition to this anti-American citizens movement is hated and labeled immediately. Because it is regarded as racist by these mindless followers of Obama and the leftist anti-American citizens movement. The argument for the anti-American movement is that anything white and or considered white is racist. Like milk, again, as we had previously noted. Okay, milk is considered to be racist. And therefore, any opposition is sabotaging the new anti-American citizens movement, which is a mirror of the Nazi movement, folks. And this is why our president and his supporters are considered to be an existential threat to the new anti-American citizens movement that considers themselves to be the virtuous movement that will expel all racism from America, okay? I mean, come on, folks. However, the anti-American citizens movement are the real racists here, just as the Nazis were in the 1930s. And so, they believe that all whites and President Trump and his supporters are subverting the new anti-American movement to employ a racist president and his racist followers. When in reality, it is the anti-American movement that is subverting our culture and sabotaging America and the American people, and this anti-American movement is portraying the Americans that oppose them as the enemy within. When in reality, it is the anti-American movement that is the enemy within and the enemy of the state, folks. Come on, I know you can all see that. Again, come on, folks. Simple math, 2 plus 2 and all that. And employed by Obama, Clinton, and the entire Democratic Party. So, to Mrs. Marr and the rest of the blind leading the blind, now One Eye News has given you all the real facts in our initial debut episode and in this episode about your former anti-American president, who is a domestic terrorist and a radical Islamic terrorist sympathizer that has incorporated the Nazi ideology within his blind, mindless followers that follow him willingly into the abyss of hate and propaganda to destroy America and our president and the American way of life. Like you, Mrs. Marr. Okay? Hey, Mrs. Marr, Williamette, please take a minute to pinch yourself, and the rest of you, all take a minute to pinch yourselves, as you all seem to be living in a dream world of fantasy brought to you by Obama and the Democratic demons that plague our nation with their lies and deceit. Now you have the truth, and it is your responsibility to accept it and or to recognize it. And we are keeping it 100, so to speak, unlike you, Mrs. Marr, and the rest of the leftist propaganda media that hate America for some ungodly reason. Again, I will accept any challenge on my viewpoints and will debate you, Mrs. Marr, if you're man enough, or woman enough to face me face to face in a real debate. Because you are not interested in debating, as you only bring your followers on your show, and once in a while you bring somebody who may, challenge you, but then you have 3 or 4 other guests to shout them down, okay? I do not claim to be any kind of superior intellectual and or any kind of academic genius of any sort. But I am an American patriot that is smart enough to see what the truth is. Unlike you, Mrs. Marr, and Mr. Obama, who seem to believe yourselves to be superior to the masses and smarter than any of your opposition. Okay? However, having said that, I will note that I have spent, a considerable amount of time at Berkeley in the 1980s, and I did see the freedom of speech back then that has disappeared now. And I saw people like Harvey Milk and many others as well, who made it possible for others to think differently and alternatively, and to be accepted, which is not happening today on the opposition. And I have been involved in many liberal societies like in San Francisco. And I have had good friends that were involved, with the hippie counterculture and in the Haight-Ashbury rock and roll movement. And others that toured with bands like the Grateful Dead for many, many years. And I have some very good friends that toured with the Grateful Dead. And I have attended many events with the Grateful Dead back in the day. And I attended many other events, like Woodstock 2. And I have been involved with other music revolutions and acquainted with many other talented and famous musicians throughout the years. Like the grunge explosion in the 1990s. And I have also been around many of these world-famous rock and roll bands over the years and was influenced in many liberal ways to accept what others might deny. Like you, Mrs. Marr. Having said all that, I will also point out that I'm from the school of hard knocks, folks, and I see reality, unlike people like Mrs. Marr who live in a bubble and feed their tiny brains with only one viewpoint. I will again point out that events like we are currently witnessing, like today, on September 15th, 2017, where a violent criminal and convicted heroin dealer was guilty of assaulting police officers and then was shot dead. Okay? And, this individual, by assaulting officers with his automobile, he did, just like that Nazi kid in Charlottesville, assaulted people with his automobile. But this guy ended up, shot dead because he assaulted police officers. Come on, folks. And because he challenged officers and threatened their lives by ramming his car into them, and then proceeded to engage in a high-speed chase, thus putting other citizens' lives at risk, and then attempting to reach for his weapon to shoot the police. Okay, folks? Again, well, if you challenge officers and threaten officers, then you should expect to be shot. Period. It's very simple. It's not very complicated, folks. If you are challenging the law enforcers and threatening their lives, you're going to end up shot. Very simple common sense, and anyone with a brain can deduce, make that deduction for themselves. Any citizen that would have done this would have faced the same fate. And yes, even a white citizen. So stop it. He is not a victim. He was a violent criminal that would have killed these cops if given the chance to do so. And so stop it. It's enough already. Okay, and I'm going to point out, this case mirrors the Michael Brown case. And Michael Brown was also a violent criminal who threatened the cops and tried to grab a cop's gun, for crying out loud. And then the lie was sold to America by the anti-American, anti-police, anti-white, former anti-American president, okay? And the fake news media as well. And we know this is all a lie because the actual citizens, they testified to the fact that, no, Michael Brown did not have his hands up and did not say, stop, don't shoot, hands up and all that, blah, 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 which is all lies. And is a snapshot of this hateful, racist movement against the police and many whites in America today. And these are just the facts, my friends. As ugly as it may be and as hard as it is to swallow, you must face the truth and the facts. And the fact is, this individual could have just avoided his fate by simply surrendering instead of ramming his car into the police officers. The Black Lives Matter and the racists that I am watching right now on my TV are the problem. And this individual was a criminal that got what he asked for when he challenged the authority of the police. And I will say that, if this man was white, then he would have been shot as well if he would have acted in the same fashion. I, myself, have been targeted by police when I was a young punk and when I was in the wrong, and I may have, just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe I challenged the police, but never with a weapon or by assaulting them. As a matter of fact, I was, walking down the street in New York City. I walked into a certain shop that I was unaware was conducting business of selling weapons and fake IDs. I entered the shop. I looked around for a minute. I exited the shop, and I immediately felt heat all over me. And then there were 6 police officers that converged on me and basically took me down, did a full body search, found nothing. But the fact is, it doesn't matter if I was black or white. I was in the wrong part of town, and I was entering an establishment that was a known weapons dealer, okay? Unbeknownst to me. So that's just one, of my stories that I'm going to tell. And to quote a great artist and a great patriot and the next senator from Michigan, I ain't straight out of Compton, but I'm straight out to trailer, folks, okay? And again, to quote that great patriot who is Kid Rock. And I wear that like a badge of honor. And, I am who I am. And I do not apologize for that. And even before I was a teenager, I was, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I witnessed a black man murder a white man at close range by shooting him in the head. I was about 15 feet away from this action. And this occurred before I was even a teenager. I lived on the street before I was even a teenager. So I do understand where, a lot of the black citizens in our communities are coming from, as I previously pointed out. I think it is important for everyone to take responsibility for their own actions. And if you threaten the police, then you will be shot. It's very simple. Even if you are white, and many whites are shot when challenging the police. But they are, they are not whining about being criminals and getting shot because they accept responsibility, I guess, for their actions, or they don't, display all this whiny rhetoric about it and blame the police because they're a criminal. Okay, they understand, they understand that they were in the wrong, as do many black citizens and brown citizens that don't engage in these hateful rhetoric campaigns. And the media does not spotlight these citizens that are killed by the police when it happens, that are white. Okay? Why? Well, there's a simple reason for that. Because the media loves to use the black community and the black citizens to push their agenda. Okay, so take some fucking responsibility for your own actions and stop acting like you're a victim. If you're in the game, then you will face the police. Choices have consequences. And when you ram the cops with your car and try to reach for a weapon, then you will be shot. Period. Or, let's transition here to Colin Kaepernick, who was afforded much more white privilege than I ever had as a child or a citizen of America. And he is not a victim, but rather he is now facing the consequences of his own actions. So stop whining about it, Kaepernick. And, you should have accepted the $900K for the backup position that you turned down due to his, quote, white privilege that he was afforded his entire life by his white parents and his upper class upbringing. And they were not poor, and they were not subjected to poverty and or anything that most black American citizens in the hood are subject to. So stop whining, Mr. Kaepernick, and do something positive for yourself and your community and the country that you apparently hate. Or get the hell out and go somewhere else. I will at this time take, I would like to make another prediction. One Eye News is predicting that another great American patriot will be the next senator from Michigan, and that is Kid Rock. And finally, One Eye News must address the pathetic excuse for a woman who is Hillary Clinton, who is really an embarrassment to all women and is now embarking on her next anti-American tour to promote the anti-American resistance and her joke of a book in which she paints herself to be a victim. Okay? She paints herself to be a victim of all the yists and the racists and the misogynists and the sexists. Give me a frickin' break. Okay? Take some responsibility, lady. Okay? Hey, Hillary. Take some fucking personal responsibility for once in your pathetic life. And for your anti-American actions. And face the truth. And the reality that you are just a terrible person and a horrible, nasty woman that has no one to blame for your failures but you. That's it. Okay? Go away and stop trying to influence these young females to become self-described victims like you. You are a terrible representative for all women of the entire world, and you should just go back into the woods and, go to the porch and sip some lemonade and spend your time playing with your grandchildren while you await prosecution and conviction for your many crimes against America and the American people, okay? Hillary, you're gonna go away. So take some time. Go play with your grandchildren and sip some lemonade. Hang out on the porch and be an old folk like you are. Because you will be facing future charges if and when the State Department and the FBI ever actually do their jobs. As you are a criminal and a traitorous, treasonous, anti-American citizen and simply one of the greediest people I have ever laid eyes on. And you are worse than Benedict Arnold, and you should be locked up, period. And you are the one that is the clear and present danger to America, not President Trump, as you are now trying to convince your mindless resistance that President Trump is a clear and present danger here, as you just implied on the Rachel Madcow show. Oh, so, excuse me. Did I say Mad Cow? Oh, sorry about that. I mean the Rachel Maddow show, who seems to be suffering from Rachel Madcow disease. And it shows, folks. Yes, I know, maybe I'm not a very good comedian, but at least I can admit it. And I'm not trying to be a comedian, okay, Mrs. Marr? Anyhow, Rachel Madcow disease is an epidemic here in America now. And, again, take some responsibility, Hillary Clinton, for your own actions. And quit blaming everybody else for your pathetic life, okay? You have now run up 56 different people that you are blaming. Different people, organizations, whatever. 56 different individuals and organizations that you're blaming for your failures. And lastly, North Korea is working with Iran. And Obama has funded both of these enemies of the state. Why, folks? Why? I think we all know why, folks. And again, to repeat myself, this is again clear evidence that Obama's Iran deal was one of the most ignorant, ridiculous, treasonous deals ever made on behalf of America and the American taxpayers, as he has funded both the North Korean nuclear program now and the Iranian nuclear program, folks. Come on, you cannot get more anti-American than that. in addition to selling out America and giving Russia 20% of America's uranium in another terrible deal, in the Uranium One deal that One Eye News has previously detailed. And also in addition to Obama and the CIA funding Al-Qaeda with taxpayer dollars, as we previously stated. Come on, folks! And these facts are all factual evidence that proves Obama's anti-American agenda. So, America, please tune out from CNN, MSNBC, CBS, NBC, ABC, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, and all the other corrupt mainstream propagandist media outlets, and all the other shows like Real Time with Bill Maher. Real Time with Williamette Maher, who is the whiniest little bitch of all. And tune into One Eye News, America's Eye, laser focus on the truth. Okay, folks, I'm Johnny D, keeping my eye on the truth for America. Please follow us on Twitter, contribute at Patreon, share us, like us, and help us get the word out.